So just tell me about the Alabama game. Obviously, you guys had to be pretty physical with Cliff. It seemed like that was a real emphasis for you. And just what was your approach to that game and that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, we knew that going into it, how physical they are, as you mentioned. You know, a lot of times, most of the times they brought 4 dudes to the glass every time. They got big forwards. Obviously, they have Cliff at the center. They got big wings, too. So I think it was just all about matching their physicality, especially when it comes to rebounding. You know, they're a great offensive rebounding team, and we've kind of struggled a bit in that terms, in terms of rebounding as a whole. So that was definitely a big point of emphasis. And, you know, I think for the most part, obviously we had a few lapses here and there, but I think for the most part, you know, that combined with only having 3 turnovers, we were able to do a pretty good job.
How important is it for you to just kind of be the energy guy on the glass? Your effort and physicality and things like that?
Yeah, I think that's a big, a big thing for me that I can contribute. Obviously, Willie got in foul trouble early, so having to be, you know, the first guy off the bench, whatever day it was, Saturday, Friday, whatever day it was. You know, I had to come in and, you know, be ready, be prepared to bring that energy, like you said.
Coach Painter has mentioned a couple times that idea of embracing the physicality. I thought you guys weren't doing it. That's how he's brought it up a couple times. Like they need to do it more. Is that something that you can work on through practice? Is it something that just you have to have that mindset that night? Is it just flipping the switch individually?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. Obviously, if you never work on it, you know, you probably don't know how to do it. So we definitely work on it, you know, in practice with drills and stuff. But I think it also goes to, you know, mentally locking in, understanding what they excel at and what they're trying to do, which for them, you know, obviously was offensive rebounding, and then stepping up to the challenge with that.
How comfortable are you and Braden together in that ball screen stuff? You've been pretty effective on those slips.
Yeah, you know, obviously Braden's such a great player, such a great scorer, such a great passer, so he makes it easy on us, he makes it easy on me. You know, we just play around him. And we go through it before the games a lot, you know, saying in this situation, you know, we're going to screen real hard to the rim. In this situation, you know, we're going to get into a short roll. In this situation, we'll pop. This situation, we'll slip. So it's definitely a big emphasis in our practices. And, you know, I think so far we've been able to incorporate it pretty well in games.
Talked to a few people who've said that the atmosphere on Friday night was like maybe the best that they'd ever seen in Mackey. You know, you've seen a lot of games there. Did anything stick out? Was it like special to you?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely up there for sure. I would say just the energy. Obviously, you know, we know and we trust the fans that, you know, I don't think I've ever had a home game or any game that, you know, wasn't a sellout. In my 3.5, you know, going to be 4 years, and I think it's going to probably stay that way. So, I mean, the fans definitely bring a huge boost, and, you know, I think they know that when it's a big game and a big-time team coming in, they definitely do their part to help for sure.
As you go into this Marquette game, have you come to appreciate the fact you've never lost a non-conference game?
I have a little bit, for sure. And, you know, obviously that's, you know, a streak that I hope to continue and, you know, hopefully stay undefeated throughout my whole career in non-conference.
What stood out to you about Miles' game Friday night against Alabama?
Yeah, I would say just him being locked into the scouting report, locked into the plan. Obviously, I don't think he took a shot. If I recall, he didn't. Yeah. But, you know, he was still doing all the things offensively that we needed him to do. And then, you know, I saw he got a lot of well-deserved praise defensively as well for, you know, guarding Mark Sears. Obviously, that's not a very easy guard, you know, and doing as well of a job that he did on him as he did.
You know, a lot of times that gets brought up, the idea of, like, young guys learning not to play through their offense. But that would also seem to be, like, an obvious default thing because all of you always grew up being like the best scorers on every team you probably played on. Is that kind of what happens, that as a young guy, even as you're learning all this stuff, you just naturally default to what you know best or what you're most confident in?
Yeah, I think it, you know, a big part of it is probably attributing scoring a lot of points to having a good game. You know, I know in the past that's what I always did too, and obviously with the amount of scores we have and, you know, the emphasis that Payne puts on buying into your role and doing that role to the best of your ability. You know, we don't need everybody to score 24, 25 points a night as TK did. And, you know, we don't need everybody to have the ball in their hands as much as Braden and Fletch will. But, you know, when you get your opportunities offensively, you got to be ready. And then regardless of if, you know, you're scoring a lot or not on offense, you always got to be ready to guard, got to be ready to got to be ready to rebound and defend and all those things.
Just back to the non-conference thing. Why has non-conference play been so kind to Purdue?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, if I had to guess, probably the amount of hours we put in preseason. I think I'd say we're one of, if not the most ready team at the beginning of the season every year. With all the hours we put into our offense, with our morning walkthroughs, all the hours we put into our defense, and even throughout the summer, I know a lot of teams, they tend to focus more on individual workouts and player development throughout the summer, in the 4 hours you get on the court with the coaches. And we do that too, obviously, but we also spend a lot of time, if I had to guess, probably more than just about anybody, doing actual team practices and, working on our defensive schemes, kind of working on our plays offensively, even though, we're not going to have a game for 5-6 months, however long.
Right.